Okay, here we go. Okay. Need to roll down. There we go. Need to roll down the window. Let me see, make sure I got levels. We are recording. And needed to roll down the window for this video because you guys have to hear just how good this engine sounds. This is probably one of the best sounding V8s I've ever heard. Got a little. Wow. Listen to that downshift. And the car just completely wants to break loose. Throw you into the opposite direction, but traction control kicks in and saves the day. Wow, I absolutely love this car, and I don't think it's definitely not a secret. We've had about 5 or 6 SLS AMG Black Series, and these were essentially, imagine, the SLS AMG, incredible car, very fast car. This was basically the SLS on steroids, the more insane version. I believe it was the 4th Black Series to be produced. I know Europe got an SLK 55 AMG Black Series. We then got, the world got the CLK 63 AMG Black Series, then the C63 AMG Black Series, the SL 65 Black Series, which completely insane car, V12 twin turbo, and then the SLS AMG Black Series. And if you don't know what the Black Series essentially was, it was the, let's call it the race division of AMG. Already insane tuner car. AMG produced these cars in very, very limited quantities, lighter weight, more aggressive, more aero, more carbon everywhere. And that is no exception with the SLS, which I believe is probably one of the best modern classics of our time. I'll sort of get more into that as we talk about this, but the first thing that you can feel with this car is you definitely feel just how rigid the suspension is and the changes that Mercedes made in this car. Now, when I first bought, I would say this is probably 5-6 years ago, I bought my first SLS AMG, and that car was actually meant to be a daily driver for my wife and I at the time. We were dating at the time. I've told you guys before, I had a Porsche GT3 RS, I had a Diablo SV with a bad Carfax, but I only ever had one car at any given point, and I realized the one car sharing the GT3 RS just didn't make sense. It was a little too radical, a little too insane, so I decided to find something that was a nice in-between. At the time, an SLS AMG was about $150,000, so I actually felt like you were getting a lot of car for the money. Very easy car to finance. Any bank would basically touch it. So I financed an SLS AMG as our one family car, and it was just great. I mean, it did everything right. It was comfortable. You could take it on a long trip. It looked incredible, and you felt like James Bond driving it. Now, this car, I think if I owned an SLS AMG Black Series at the time, I don't think I ever would have sold it. My one complaint about the SLS AMG, and this is coming from a guy that loves radical cars and loves vintage cars, was that the SLS AMG was just a little too docile. And when I got up on Sunday morning, I didn't feel like I wanted to go out and go crazy driving it around. This is pretty special. And that's what I love about these cars. This took all of the great points of the SLS, and basically what AMG did with the Black Series was they basically increased the rev limiter, so now you're talking about almost 8,000 RPM, increased the horsepower, different connecting rods, different type of cam, very, very aggressive. The transmission's actually even lower. There's a lot of differences. And then looking around the car, I don't think there's any part of this car besides the doors and the roof that are shared with the SLS. The front hood is carbon, the fenders are wide, they stick out, the lower rockers are wide, they have carbon everywhere. The front nose comes out different. The rear has a beautiful carbon wing, beautiful rear bumper with actually a lightweight titanium exhaust, which, as I showed you guys earlier, sounds absolutely incredible. And it just puts the power down so well. It feels like an RS Porsche. It feels like precision. The best way, and I always used to describe the GT3 RS, is it felt like, a scalpel, a doctor using a surgical scalpel, and that's the way this car feels. You feel every bump. The brakes are incredible. It really is a purpose-built race car for the street, and that's why I love these cars. And the other reason why I love these cars is when they first came out, they actually didn't sell well at all. There was a lot of dealers that were left over with new car inventory. You had many of these cars sitting on showroom floors. Dealers had to offer money back. These were going for under sticker for many years, and only about 130 came into North America, making these cars very, very rare. Now, the car we're driving in is actually Mars Red, one of 5 that came to North America. We sold this car twice. We actually took this car on trade on a LaFerrari a few years ago, and it went to a gentleman collector, part of the Mercedes-Benz Club, a stunning guy that really, we had some great conversations. I think he told me a great story. At 35 years old, in the 80s, he bought a 300 SL Roadster and drove it home, and just a really, really nice sort of, I would say, you always love to talk to other collectors that really truly are passionate, and that's what I think is so cool about these cars, that the guys that have bought these cars historically really were passionate guys. They understood all the differences, they understood what made these cars special, and they weren't thinking about, okay, what is it going to be worth one day, what is it, are these going to go crazy in value? But what's happened, for many years, these were trading hands between $350,000, $450,000, maybe $500,000 in the US. They were always a little bit difficult to sell. But lately, these cars have gone insane. Now, the European market, I think, the Europeans understood how special these cars were. Cars have traded between $500,000 and $600,000 in Europe for many years. But we are just catching on, and U.S. collectors are just catching on to these cars. Excuse me, sir. And today, these cars are trading between $550,000, $600,000, $650,000. I've even heard of a delivery mileage car selling as much as $800,000. So these are just so special. One of my greatest regrets is not buying back or keeping, not that I could afford it, but keeping one of our first SLS AMG Black Series, which was the car that was given to Lewis Hamilton when he was in the U.S. racing for Formula One. A very unique car. We didn't know it at the time. We thought it was just normal red. We had purchased the car on behalf of a client. And after doing some research and speaking to the president of AMG at the time, he actually said, no, you're wrong. It's not red. It's a one-of-one metallic zircon red pre-production car. So basically a prototype car that was used for press, it was used for auto shows, and obviously it was used by Lewis Hamilton when it was in the US. I would love to buy the car back. I don't know who owns it today, but if you're interested in selling it, contact us. I think that's such a piece of history. This incredible example is 1,400 original miles. One of the best SLS AMG Black Series in the country today, and really just an honor to be driving this car and have this car today. I think I could drive this car all day long because it's just like a roller coaster ride. And the way it grips and the way it handles and just everything about it. And it looks so damn good. And I think what this car represents is the end of an era. you know, I think the reason why collectors and young collectors are chasing these cars today and buying these cars today is when you think of the future and you think of the future of cars and you look at potentially the end of the combustion engine and you think of, you know, V8s today, the new AMG cars are a small, I think it's a 4-liter V8 twin turbo. So you'll never get the same sensation of a 6.3-liter V8, high revving, torquey V8 that you would with any of the new cars. And yes, we have to do these things, whatever you believe politically, global warming, etc. The world is changing and the combustion engine will leave. And how will manufacturers adapt to that? And here's my belief is that the consumer and the collectors and the guys that are chasing these cars today, responsible for the value of these cars going up, I look at this car, the Carrera GT, Murcielago SV is a great example, the Enzo, 550 Barchetta, the 2005-2006 Ford GT. These cars mark a very important part of automotive history. You could almost call it the golden era. The last cars that were, normally aspirated with, big horsepower. I sort of look at these cars too as like, there was no sort of financial decisions made when, Mercedes produced this car and, put carbon everywhere and, the cars didn't even sell well. And you compare this to this generation of cars, and I don't know if we'll ever see this again. And I think that's why collectors today and young collectors, guys in their, late 30s, early 40s, are chasing cars like this. They're rare. They're special, and they give you a sensation that I think is unparalleled. I don't think we're going to find manufacturers producing cars like the AMG SLS Black Series again. I don't think we're going to find manufacturers producing cars like the Carrera GT again. It's part of life. It's part of the future, and it's an honor to be driving these cars today, buying these cars and selling them. And it's really, I think it's the most exciting part is seeing them go to great homes and people that really, really appreciate them and sort of get excited as I do about these cars. Anyways, well, thank you again, guys. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. We've got a ton more incredible content coming. 2022, we've got such exciting stuff down the road. A barn find Countach. We're going to do a video of a couple different projects we have coming in. So stay tuned. Thank you guys again for watching, and we'll see you soon.